number one issue for me for herbicide, as far as herbicide injury goes this year, has been ALS injury on soybeans. Some corn, mostly soybean. So you can see the bullet points here. Mostly what you would see is like what this group over here has to see, or you can look all over and see it. The two middle rows are treated, and so stunting is primarily the main symptom we're talking about. Chlorotic new trifoliates, stacked internodes, root pruning, all of that is symptoms of ALS herbicide. I've been here 11 years, never seen this problem anywhere close to as bad as what we saw this year. So I think that's a fairly significant take-home message that you should take with you this year. And the reason that I say that is because I would hate for us to have some kind of knee-jerk reaction and not use these herbicides in the future when we still need these herbicides. The ALS products for mare's tail are critical, and they're good in the fall, okay? But here's where the whole situation lined up, in my opinion. And this is what I saw the most cases of. It is where we applied a fall applied ALS product, namely Autumn Super or Basis Blend. Those are the two most common. Not the only two, but the two most common. They both have ALS products in them. And then we came back in the spring and we applied another ALS product like Authority XL, Authority Max, Valor XLT, and Vive, etc., etc., etc. Okay, there's many. And when we had those two things happening, I believe we saw much worse injury on our soybeans than either two applied alone. And so the definition of that is additive. But I had a lot of people saying, no, it's not additive. So I just decided, well, I'm going to try to test that a little bit. Now, you can't test this. You cannot make all these factors line up the way they did in April and May, okay? So do not misinterpret me. I do have a research trial behind me that is my attempt to kind of understand this issue better, but it's not like I'm saying I'm solving this right here and now with this little trial behind me, okay? So what we did is, and again, it's done in June, so, you know, in mid-June I finally said, well, I'm going to come up with some treatments and we're going to try to do something and see if we can duplicate this. So what I did is, I thought, I have no idea how much ALS is left from the fall herbicide application. I have no idea. I think this year it was way more than usual, but I don't know how much Basis Blend is left from the fall, or I don't know how much Autumn Super was left from the fall. But I know this year it was higher than normal. So what we did is we sprayed a 1/8 of an X rate, a 1/4, a 1/2, and a 1X rate of all of those products to simulate however much might have been left in the soil. Okay, like I said, I have no idea. And then we added to that either an Authority XL treatment or an Authority Max or even a Valor XLT, I think, is down there too. And so what we have gathered already out of this is when we go in here and we conduct height measurements and biomass, and we're going to take it to yield and everything and see what happens there. But what I've learned already just by rating it myself is it looks pretty clear cut to me like it's additive. I mean, when I put on even an 8X, a 1/8 of an X rate of something like Autumn Super, and I combine that with Authority XL, you know, I see a whole lot more injury than either one alone. So, you know, it makes sense to me. Now the big thing that you got to understand, and again, we're not going to be here. Let me just finish with this. Our climatologists have made some really good slides about weather, and also DuPont has provided me with some data from their publication that I agree wholeheartedly with. It's on page 5 and 6. And what you need to understand when you leave here is, why did this occur this year? And so, for one thing, the degradation of rim sulfuron is impacted by soil temperature and pH, but especially soil temperature, as what that graph shows on page 5. If you look at those lines, the warmer temps influence degradation. The lower temps, there's more left there. So I got our climatologists to start looking into this. And basically from page 7 to 12 or 13, I think what you figure out here pretty quickly is we had a perfect storm line up for bad conditions for ALS herbicide. So on page 7, we had the 10th coldest winter on record. The 10th coldest winter on record. That influences the degradation of these ALS herbicides, okay? Is it going to happen again? I don't know, but it's there's a lot of data there, 1895 to 2010, and we see a very, very cold winter compared to normal. If you look on page 9, you see how long that soil, and this is just one example, okay? He could have given me a lot, but he just picked Monroe City, Missouri, all right? And he looked at the soil, frozen soil line for Monroe City, Missouri, and you can see that that 4-inch bare soil temp was way below that line for most of the winter. Obviously, that has to influence degradation of these products if they're temperature dependent, okay? Which they are. And then secondly, on page 10, we also had a much drier than normal winter to go along with that. So the bottom line is this. I'd hate to see us move away from these products which we keep seeing we are not even doing what we need to do for weed control now. So if we start moving away from something, then I really fear that weed control is going to suffer.